Hey, welcome back everybody. We're in the paint booth. I just got done spraying final coat of epoxy primer on here. I had a lot of holes drilled for the seats and I did a lot of stuff on there. There were scratches and stuff. And every bit of bare metal I like to have covered with epoxy. And here are the fenders. They're mounted to the fender jig. It's just easier to paint fenders when they're held like that. It's a weird shape. So the next step, I have all the pieces ready. Grill, tailgate. Here's that hood that we've been working on. And there's the dash that's all fixed up and ready to go. There's the roll bar I'm putting in. That's going to be black. That is a fuel tank that does not fit, not even close. I'm going to have to build a tank. I have one piece of my original floor. The second piece is a SGI piece. And as you can see, the fuel pedal didn't work out at all. I had to take that whole section out and redo that. There's all my steering stuff for the chassis. So the weather is nice, so from this point forward, since the epoxy primer is on here, tomorrow, probably early, there'll be, I don't know, 4 or 5 coats of high build on the body. You know, we got to take care of stuff like, I don't know if you can see this, but when they first put the indent here for the hood hinge, they struck it here first, so you can see it's all mangled there. And when their body came through, I think you can see it on this side too. When their body came through, it had a ton of filler in it and stuff. So I sandblasted that off. We're gonna use some high build and get rid of all that stuff like that. You know, we've got stuff in here and here. So there's just a lot of rough grinding that they left. I'm not gonna put filler in there. I do believe my high build primer will take care of all that. I'd rather have it that way. So every day now there's going to be something new on this. There'll be the high build next, and then there'll be lots and lots and lots of sanding, and then there'll be Sprucetip Green, and then there will be the clear. So like I said, I got going on this early. I had to have the heat on. It was a 34-degree day here, so I had the heat on, and I'll probably do this early in the morning because I don't like to do engine assembly work and get all greasy and grimy and then come out into the paint booth. So painting is going to happen early in the day, engines will happen later in the day. So this is where I'm at on this, and we just got the cam for Scott's 258 and I'm about to put that in. Let's head into the shop and get that guy in there. Okay guys, there's Scott's cam. The camshaft world is changing like most of the world is, and it's hard to get decent cams now. This is a Comp Cams. If you order it through Edelbrock or Comp, they're owned by a parent company. A lot of stuff is changing now. Big Chinese companies are buying up American companies and changing everything. This is like your first step you'd go after a stock cam. It doesn't have crazy lift or anything like that. We're not going too radical with his engine. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but this is that's the cam assembly lube that I use. I do sell that for guys that want the best stuff. That's the cam shield stuff. I use that on all the camshafts. So we'll get that guy coated up and we'll get it slipped in there. And I like to put the cam in just because it's easier right now to reach in there and do stuff, and then we'll set the crank right after that. But let's get that guy lubed up and put in the block. Okay guys, nice and easy when you're putting the cam in. You don't want to nick up those fresh bearings or anything. Just a little bit at a time. And then we'll lube up the next little bit, and then we'll slide it in. We'll keep doing that. Don't just ram it in there good, because you could put a good gouge in the cam bearing. You don't want to do that. So nice and easy, and take your time. Plenty of lube on there. It's critical. We're going to lube the cam, and we put the lifters in. We're going to lube the bottom of the lifters. And we want to give that cam the best chance it has of surviving. Like I say, the cam industry is not what it used to be, and I don't understand why, but cams are, I don't know, you hear about them all the time going to hell. A lot of times guys don't lube them properly, or they don't use the right break-in oil, but in general, more cams seem to be failing now than ever before. So give it the best chance you can, and lube it right, and get the right spring and everything. Don't have too heavy a spring on there, and there's a lot of things you could do to make your cam last. Make sure you understand what you're doing before you change a cam. Okay guys, there's our standard mains in there. You remember on that last one, where 1/1000ths less, I had to get a special bearing for that. And here we go with the engine assembly gel. And out of everything I've ever used, this is the best stuff that I've ever used. And I sell this as well. I've got a line of engine assembly products: the extreme pressure lube, the cam, and the engine assembly gel. And you know, after hundreds and hundreds of motors, I've tried everything out there, and this is what I like, and this is what I recommend. And if you need it, I have it. And get these guys prepped up. I got the rear main seal in already. Just be conscious of how that goes in. Don't put that in backwards. A little bit of light lube on there with this engine assembly gel on the rear main, and I'll make it nice and slippery for the crankshaft. Okay, so see if we can see all that. Okay, that's what that should look like. And everything is ready for the crankshaft. Now I have already predetermined the clearance and everything. You know, this is a standard crank that I polished. I didn't take any material out, and so I know everything's going to work out okay on this. And like I said, I got the 1/1000ths under number 7 there. And speaking of 7, that's what makes these 6-cylinders fantastic, is the 7 main bearings. You know, and the thrust is controlled by number 3 right there. And I know I've shown it before, but I'm going to show it one more time. And this isn't the only crank that's like this. You know, there's a lot of cranks like this out there. Okay, that's probably 1/8 of an inch in there. Hope you can see that. Now that wear right there, that's all supposed to be nice and smooth there. It's that's all due to a off-road guy thinking he needed the heaviest duty clutch he could possibly put in there. And you can see there is the crank end. And every time he pushed that clutch in, he just ate up the thrust surface. The bearing was gone. The thrust surface of the bearing was gone. Everything was gone. So, you know, he ate up this whole side of the bearing, and that was on that other motor that I'm building. But he ate up that, and then it was just grinding right into the block, and the crank was softer, and it just ate it right up. So I know the heavy-duty clutches, I don't know, make everybody feel manly or something, but be careful of what you stick in these guys. And anything, you know, anything at all. A Jeep 6-cylinder, guys go crazy on those Cummins. I see them all the time. Guys bring cranks in, and there's nothing I can do with them. You know, they're just throwaways at that point. So just be conscious of what you're doing with your clutch, especially a hydraulic clutch. You can't feel what you're doing. You're just pushing that crank right through the motor. So just be conscious of what you're doing, so you don't mess up your crank. I'm going to grab Scott's crank, and we'll get that guy set right in there. Okay, I got the whole crank kind of pre-lubed there. and silky smooth. We're going to get the caps on there, get everything torqued down, and check our end play, make sure everything is good. And we're moving on this guy now. So that's the first major step here, and we'll get it together shortly. Okay guys, here's the ARP Ultra Torque fastener assembly lube. I use that on all my main bolts, rod bolts, everything like that. A little bit on the threads, a little bit under the head, because you got friction between the underside of the head and the top of the main there. So make sure your bolts are clean. A little bit of the assembly lube, and I've got these close to being torqued. These are, let me get this set up. These are supposed to be, when you're assembling an engine, 80 foot-pounds. And we're just going to go over. I got them to 75. I'm just going to go over again and check every one of them. Okay, that's 80 on every one, and she is silky smooth. Kind of slimy with all the assembly lube on there, but that is turning over properly. We know I measured everything to begin with, and we know we got the perfect clearance here. A lot of guys ask me, you know, how come you don't just grab the crank and spin it like you see them on TV and stuff? Well, you know, when you have a street motor and not a race motor, you don't have as much clearance, and we're using the assembly gel, which kind of drags, but we do have the proper clearance in there, and that crank is silky smooth. Okay guys, we're just going to check the end play on this crank. I don't know where we're set up. Let's see what we got. Okay, we've got 0 on that direction. Let's see if we got some play here. Okay, that's settled in around 1.5. Now the end play on these cranks is pretty generous. You could be anywhere from 1/2 thou to 6.5 thou. That's an awful lot, and the only way that you're gonna change that, let's get this zoomed out again. This isn't like a shim setup where you could change it with shims. There is your thrust bearing. And if your crank is way worn out, like I showed you that other one, you're never going to get it. I mean, that was, you know, 3/16 of an inch of play on that one. So make sure your crank, before you get going on everything, make sure your crank surface there, right there, is going to be in good shape. Usually this side doesn't wear out. It's usually the push from the clutch from this way, and it wears this side out real bad. Once it gets worn, that side will wear a little bit, but mostly it's on this side. Make sure your crank is good before you go through all this trouble and find out your crank is worn out and you can't get your end play correct. If you don't have the right end play, that's just going to be a rapping motor and it ain't going to last long. So be conscious of that, check that out. And Scott, we have 2 of your major components in here, the camshaft and the crankshaft, and we're moving along. Okay guys, got the motor flipped over and getting ready to put the timing set in there. Don't forget you got a main oil galley plug there. Don't forget that guy behind the cam gear. Okay, I got a Melling high quality timing set. We're going to get that on there, and then I'm going to show you how to double check to make sure you got it in there right. But let me reposition the camera and we'll get busy putting that in. Okay guys, when you get your timing set on there, you want these 2 guys to line up here, these 2 points right here. This bolt is going to go on I usually put the crank gear on, put the chain around the main gear here, and then slide the whole thing on. That bolt's going to go to 50 foot-pounds, and then we're going to roll the engine over, and I'll show you how to count the pins to make sure you got this in the exact right place, and your cam timing, everything is going to be right. So let me get that guy to 50 foot-pounds, and then we'll start rolling this over. Okay guys, there's a timing set in place. You can see in yellow I've got them marked. They're lined up, and I'm going to show you a way just to check this and make sure you got everything right. I'll try and stay out of the way of the camera. Alright, take your cam gear, take that guy in the direction of rotation, set that guy about 1 o'clock. Okay, that looks like that's about 1 o'clock. Alright, now, I'll try and get you in here so you can see both of them. Okay, you see this pin, this timing mark goes between the pins. Now we want to count. Let me come over here. We want to count these pins. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pins. And then there's our yellow mark. So there needs to be 15 pins between your cam gear and your crank gear. And if you got 15 pins and that's right on your timing mark, you know you're good. Like I say, this isn't a crazy engine build where we're degreeing cams and doing stuff like that. It's just a regular standard build, and I think you guys can see and count the pins there. 15 pins and you're good. And then you can just bring it right back to top dead center. And they line up again. And that's how you can check and make sure you got it. You can just double check for yourself, and you know that you got everything in the right spot. The timing set is all set now. It's nice and tight. We got no play in this guy. Brand new set. Melling. I like Melling stuff, and they make a very nice timing set for this engine. So we're going to call it quits today on this engine. There's still some other stuff to do, and I've got to get some things done, but we're getting there. We're gaining on it. Crank's in, cam's in, timing set is on, and we're cooking on this one. So more to come on this engine and this other one here, and I'll show some videos of it as it progresses along. But for right now, we're calling it quits. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.